and welcome to the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. My name is Clarissa and I want to welcome you back to our V-stitch series. Previously in this channel we've learned how to crochet the V-stitch flat and in the round, and then we practiced our V-stitch in the round. After that we worked our increases, or at least one of the ways that you can increase using the V-stitch. So today we are going to be practicing how to work up this increase. In order to do that, I've designed and played around with a V-stitch raglan shirt, sweater pattern. Now we're going to be working a top-down raglan in the V-stitch. The goal, of course, is to practice not only working the V-stitch in the round, but also to further practice how we increase with the V-stitch. By the end of this series, you should have a finished item. You may be wondering, Clarissa, why did you choose a raglan pattern? Well, the raglan I find is one of the easiest patterns for beginners, and it's one of those patterns that once you're an experienced crocheter, it's just fun to have and sit and work in the round without having to worry too much. Because what makes a raglan is that we are increasing in 4 points. So we are increasing at the left shoulder, at the right shoulder, at the left back shoulder, and at the right back shoulder. So that is all we need to remember, and with the aid of stitch markers it's going to be very easy to keep track of our increases. And I say that because I started a sample for this sweater way back in September. Now I didn't film the tutorial in September, no, we are filming the tutorial in January because I wanted to have some experience working up the raglan before I shared my knowledge, my tips and tricks with you. Now I've specified that we're going to be working a top-down raglan because there are other ways to work up a raglan sweater. You can work up a reverse raglan sweater, which we've played around with in this channel before, and I will leave a link in the description box below or in the iCard above. And that is where instead of increasing in 4 points, we decrease in 4 points. You can also work your raglan flat, so that means that you're working in panels. However, today we're going to be sticking with what I consider to be the easiest method, which is a top-down raglan sweater. As we are going to be making a garment together, I've divided this last section of our V-stitch series in 2. In this video today, we are going to be working our neckline, and we're going to be working several rounds of the V-stitch increasing raglan together. Okay? And then after that, we will part ways and meet back here to split for the sleeves and continue the body. So that would be the part 2. Part 1, as I said, is this one where we will work the neckline as well as the shaping of it, and then we will come back to work our, and then we will come back to split for our sleeves and continue working the body. Not only can you find this video tutorial here, but you can also find a blog post that will accompany this pattern, and that is because in the free blog post where you have all the information you need, hopefully, if not, please let me know, you will find stitch counts for 3 neckline sizes. So these would be for a 9-inch neck, for a 10.5-inch neck, and for 11.5 inches in neck. Now, I always like to caution people that the neckline is suggested. So for example, I'm suggesting these stitch counts for a fingering weight yarn, but if you choose to work a DK weight yarn with, let's say, a 4.5mm hook, then you could go for the 9-inch neckline, because since you're using DK weight yarn and a larger hook, your neckline will be wider. The most important measurement for a raglan is the armhole depth, and that is the distance from your shoulder to the bottom of the armhole. This will determine the width of your garment as well as how much positive or negative ease you have. I always prefer to go based on an item that I already own and measuring that armhole depth than just measuring myself, because you know, when you're measuring on yourself, you're looking down, you're moving, you can kind of mess up that measurement a little bit. So just pick your favorite sweater and measure the armhole depth. It would be basically given in a diagonal, and I will insert a picture here to guide you. Since I've designed this pattern to be worked with, well, you know, suggested yarn of a fingering weight, Today I'm going to be using a heavier yarn to show you how we're going to begin our neckline, how we're going to work our V-stitch increases. I always find that working a tutorial with a worsted weight yarn or a bulkier weight yarn is the way to go so that you can see all the details of what I'm talking about. So I am actually going to be using a yarn that you're very familiar with already because I've used it to work up the V-stitch increase video. This is a jersey yarn and it is kind of a knit tube that is then filled with polyfill, and that makes it great for seeing your stitches and for seeing the details that I'm going to be talking about in this top-down raglan V-stitch. Raglan. So without further ado, let's get into the neckline and the yoke tutorial for this V-stitch raglan sweater. Please remember that if you want to talk about yarn weights, yarn amounts needed, head over to the blog where we're going to be discussing that. The other detail is that today I'm going to be working up a 10.5-inch neckline for you in the tutorial, and then after we work up a couple of rounds in this heavier weight yarn, I am going to cast on together with you my fingering weight version of this sweater. Materials that we will need are, of course, yarn, hook, scissors, tape measure, and yarn needle. So, as I stated previously, I'm going to be using a chunkier weight yarn for this tutorial so you can clearly see the stitches and a 6mm hook. I am also going to be doing the instructions for size 1, so the neckline, that is going to be 9 inches, and that is, again, because I'm going to be using bulky weight yarn. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is that we are going to be starting with foundation single crochets. You guys know that I prefer to start with foundation single crochets because it gives a much neater neckline. I have separate tutorials for this. I think I pretty much cover them in all of my tutorials, so you can check out a designated video for it. But I'm starting with foundation single crochet stitches. I'm going to be working a total of 64 foundation single crochet stitches with this 6mm hook and bulky weight yarn. Now, because I'm going to be using this bulky and chunky weight yarn, my foundation is going to look a lot bigger than yours, depending what you choose. But I'm still going to give you a measurement of like my neckline once we're past the first couple of rows. I know I switched hooks, and that is because I started with a 6mm and then I put it down and I picked up this 5.5 instead of the 6mm. So I ripped it all back and started with a 5.5 again. But I do recommend that when you're using foundation stitches, since they tend to stretch out quite a bit, to use a half a size smaller. Okay, so we have our foundation chain of, in this case, 64. If you're using worsted weight yarn, you could also use this same stitch count. And now what we're gonna do is we are going to fold our chain like if it was a taco, right? Because we're folding it in half. And we are going to slip stitch to the first foundation stitch that we made. Slip stitch, tighten that, okay? And now we're going to work a total of 5 single crochet V stitches. So the first one is going to be right where we slip stitched into. That's where I'm going to do my first V stitch. And you know that we start with a single crochet, then we do a chain 2, and we do another single crochet. Then we skip one and we work a single crochet V-stitch in the next stitch. Now we have 2 single crochet V-stitches. Skip the next stitch and work a single crochet V-stitch in the following. We're going to have a total of 3 single crochet V-stitches now. Okay, now skip one. This is the 4th single crochet V-stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to skip one and make our 5th single crochet V-stitch. Remember that this is for the size that I'm working, which is the one with the 64 stitch count for the worsted weight yarn. Okay, so we've completed 5 V-stitches. Now I'm going to skip the next stitch, and into this space I'm going to make a V-stitch. So nothing special. What makes this V-stitch special is that this stitch is going to mark our corner. Now I'm going to grab a stitch marker and place it in this chain 2 space. Remember to check the blog post in case you're using fingering weights version of the yarn or you need a larger neckline, but these are the basic steps that we're going to follow. We're going to make the designated number of V-stitches. Then in this first round, we're going to mark our corner. Now, we are going to make 4 V-stitches. So we're going to skip the next stitch and work 1 V-stitch. These 4 V-stitches that we're making will mark kind of the shoulder area. So again, we're making a total of 4 V-stitches. This is my 2nd V-stitch. My 3rd V-stitch. Skip one, and now my 4th V-stitch. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to skip the next stitch and work a V-stitch in the following. This V-stitch that I'm working will get a stitch marker because it's going to denote a increase corner. Okay? So right in the chain 2 space, I'm going to place a marker. This first row should be very familiar to you if we've worked V-stitches previously. The only difference is that we're marking some corners. Okay, and now I'm going to work a total of 10 V-stitches. And I will meet you back here when I've completed these 10 V-stitches. This is what we have up till now. We have the corner where I left you guys at, and I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 stitches, like I said that I would. All right, so we're gonna skip the next stitch, and in the following, we're gonna do a V-stitch. And I'm gonna place a stitch marker into this V-stitch. Now that we've placed our marker, we're going to be repeating the same thing that we did for the previous shoulder. So this was the previous shoulder area. We did 4 V-stitches. That is what we're going to do now, 4 V-stitches. Simply remember, right, that when you work a V-stitch, you're skipping 1 stitch. So I just want to reiterate that we are counting 4 V-stitches and that the V-stitch is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in the same space. After completing these 4 V-stitches, we are going to mark our last our last corner, increase corner of this round. So this is the corner that I'm doing now, and I'm going to grab a stitch marker and place a stitch marker again in that chain 2 space. Like if you notice, I've color coordinated my stitch markers to just remember which one it goes on the right and which one goes on the left. The increases will be the same, so that doesn't really matter, but it does make me happy. Okay, so what have we done up till now? We've done shoulder, front neckline, shoulder, and now we're going to complete the back of our raglan sweater. If you want, you can also use a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round. It's not necessary, but it is encouraged. If you're switching colors, I think it'll be fairly obvious when you reach the end of the round, but if you're going to be using solid colors like me, it might be helpful just to remember which is the mid-back. Okay, now we're just going to work V-stitches until we complete the round. In my case, I'm going to work a total of 5 V-stitches. And remember that when we work V-stitches in the round, we are going to skip the last stitch that is left over. Okay, so this is our first round of our top-down V-stitch raglan top. What we've completed is the back of the neck, we've completed 2 shoulders, and then the front neckline. And we've also marked the points where we're going to be doing our increases. So now for round 2 of our yoke, we are going to just work V-stitches in each V-stitch until we get to the marked stitch. Remember, the marked stitch is where we're going to do our increase. I'm just ripping back here to show you the different ways that you can join, but you can do a slip stitch to join, but I think that just creates unnecessary bulk when you're working the V-stitch, and personally I don't like it, but you can do it if you want, if it makes it easier to track the rounds for you. Not a problem at all. You could of course just use a stitch marker. I prefer to work the V-stitch in continuous rounds, which means we do not join at the end of the round. We simply continue on working our V-stitches. Okay, now this is round 2, and we're actually going to do round 2 of our increases. So that means that we're simply going to do a V-stitch in each stitch until we get to the marked stitch. Okay, I will meet you here at the marker to do our first increase. Okay, we've arrived at our marker, so I'm going to actually leave the marker here. And row 2 of our V-stitch increase was do a 1.5 V-stitch. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now I'm going to remove my marker for ease of crocheting. Now I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to chain 2, and into this same V-stitch, I'm going to be doing a single crochet. So here in this stitch, we've done our first increase. This was round 2 increase. So we do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, which completes the V-stitch, and then we do chain 2, single crochet, which allows us to have 2 V-stitches now. Now I'm going to replace my marker into the single crochet, the middle single crochet, okay? And I'm going to work V-stitches until I reach the next marker. Okay, we have reached our marked stitch. So again, I'm going to do a V-stitch. I'm going to remove my marker. I'm going to chain 2 and complete another single crochet all in this same chain 2 space. Okay, so again we've completed another increase, and I'm going to place my stitch marker into this single crochet. Now I'm going to V-stitch until I reach the next marker, which is here. This is going to be our next increase. We have reached our marker, and this time I'm actually going to remove my marker before working into the stitch. A marked stitch means that we do an increase. Okay, into this marked stitch, we're going to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And again, we're going to place our marker into this single crochet. Now I'm going to V-stitch until I get to this marker, and we'll do the last increase together. So again, into the marked stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, a chain 2, and a single crochet. This completes the V-stitch. So we're going to add a chain 2 and another single crochet, all in that same stitch. So again, for the increase for round 2, we should have V-stitch and then chain 2, single crochet. We place the marker on the single crochet, or in the single crochet stitch. Okay, and now we're simply going to V-stitch until we reach the end of the round. And so we've completed the end of round 2. This is what our neckline and yoke will be looking like. Now we are ready to begin round 3. Now for round 3, we are simply going to do a V-stitch in each chain 2 space. Yes, you heard that. It's a V-stitch in each chain 2 space, which means that this is what I called our rest round in the V-stitch increase video. By the way, if this is your first time joining us for the V-stitch, then I'm going to leave in links in the iCard above and in the description box below so that you can find all the tutorials that pertained to the V-stitch series. Okay, so now here is our marker in the single crochet, right? So we have a chain 2 before the marker and we have a chain 2 after the marker. So we're simply going to do V-stitches in this chain 2 spaces. We're going to treat this as any other V-stitch in our round. Ignore the marker, do not remove it, we're simply leaving it there, and then do a V-stitch in the next chain 2 space. Again, I'm just going to be doing V-stitches in each chain 2 space. I'll meet you where we've placed the marker. We've once again reached the marker, so I'm going to be doing a V-stitch into the chain 2 space before and after the marker. We're not removing the marker, we're simply working our single crochet V's in the chain 2 space before and after the marker. And we will continue doing this along the round, just working single crochet V's in each chain 2 space. This is again round 3. We've completed 3 rounds of our raglan yoke. Now is a good time to kind of trace back from the increases to the first row so that you can place a marker in the foundation row so that when you measure your raglan, you know you're measuring from here diagonally. Okay. Now we are ready to begin round 4 of our yoke. Okay, so now, as I said, we're ready to begin round 4. Now, if we're referencing the increase round video, then round 4 of our raglan yoke is going to be repeating round 1 of our increase video, meaning that it's the round where we crochet between our single crochet V's. Now, we're going to work a single crochet V in each chain 2 space until we reach the marker in this case, okay? I will meet you back here when we have reached that marker. We are 1 stitch away from the marker. Here is our marker sitting between the previous round's V's, okay? If you remember from the increase video, this is the round where we work in the space between 2 V's. Okay, so for round 4, our increase for this round is going to be to work a single crochet V in the marked space. Okay, so again, that marked space is between 2 single crochet V's right here. Okay, now I'm going to insert my hook there, and I am going to work a V stitch. I am also going to move my marker up in this round, so I'm going to remove my marker and insert it into that space of the V we just made, right here in that chain 2 space of the V. Okay, and now I'm simply going to work V's in each chain 2 space until we reach our next marker. We are once again 1 stitch before the marked space. Here we have a single crochet V stitch here and here. So our marked stitch sits between those single crochet V's right here. So I'm going to complete my last single crochet V before the marker. And then into that marked space, I am going to place a single crochet V. All right, so this is the repeat for round 4. Work a single crochet V in the chain 2 spaces, and remember to work a single crochet V in your marked space. And the marked space lies between the previous round's V's. Now we're going to move our marker up into the chain 2 space of the V we've just completed. Okay, so let's review what we've completed up till now. So what we've completed is 2 increases, one right here where we have that first marker and the other increase right here. So now what we're going to do is work single crochet V's in each chain 2 space until we reach the marker. We are again 1 stitch before the marked space, so that means that in this next stitch we are going to work a single crochet V, and we see that the marked space lies between the V's of the previous round right here. Okay, so this is where we're going to work a single crochet V. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Okay, so let's work our single crochet V before the marked space. And now in our marked space, we're going to work a single crochet V as well. Beautiful. Okay, so we've now completed 3 increases for round 4. Remember to remove your marker from between the space and move it up to the chain 2 of the V you've just completed, right here. Awesome. Okay, so now we're just going to work single crochet V's in the chain 2 spaces again. I ran out of yarn, so I'm now using this blue color, but we are once again one stitch before the marked space. Here is a chain 2 space, and our marked space lies between the previous the previous V-stitches rounds. So in that space, we are again going to do a V-stitch. Here is the space that we're working into, and we're doing a V-stitch into this space. You can, of course, remove your marker to make it easier to crochet. I just always like to leave it there until I complete the stitch, so I don't forget that I need to replace the marker and, you know, move it up with each round, because trust me, if not, I will forget, and then I'll just have no idea where I'm supposed to do the increases. Okay, marker placed. I'm going to continue working my V's until I end round 4. What we have until now is our foundation round. We have round 1 of our yoke, round 2, which was an increase round 3, and round 4. So the repeats that we're going to keep doing is round 2s, 3s, and 4. Those are the rounds we're going to keep repeating to create our yoke. I'm going to complete one more of these rounds with you. I've already started round 5. I've done 2 V-stitches from round 5. Now I'm just going to do a V-stitch until I reach the marked stitch. And for round 5, we are going to do increase round 2. Okay? Don't worry, I will crochet with you when we reach the marker. In our marked stitch, we are going to do a V-stitch, which is single crochet, chain 2. Then we're going to chain 2 and do a single crochet in the same space. So this is the repeat for this round. We do V-stitches in the chain 2 spaces, and in the marked stitch, we do V-stitch, chain 2, single crochet. Then we place our marker in the single crochet, in the middle single crochet of this cluster that we did. Okay, so again, the repeat for this round is to do V-stitches in each chain 2 space, and then in the marked stitch, we are going to be doing single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. I will meet you back here to complete the second marked stitch of the round. Remove the marker, and in the marked stitch we complete single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. This is what I call 1.5 V-stitch, because we complete a V-stitch, then we do chain 2, single crochet all in the same space. The marker goes in the middle single crochet of this cluster. Okay, so we're going to keep repeating this all the way around. V-stitches in the chain 2 spaces, and in the marked stitch we do the round 2 increases, which are single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. I will meet you back here in this marked stitch. We're one stitch away from the marker. I've just completed the V-stitch, so I'm removing my next corner marker, and into this stitch we are going to do our increase for the round, which is the 1.5 V-stitch. So we complete a V-stitch, and then we do a chain 2, and we do another single crochet in this corner. Okay. After we've completed our 1.5 V-stitch, we are going to replace the marker into the middle single crochet of this cluster. So we should only have one more increase left for this round, and I'm going to leave you guys to do it alone. I will meet you back here at the end of the round. Now we are ready to begin round 6, and round 6 we are going to repeat our increase round 3. So again, let's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to start our 6th round, and that is going to be a round. And let's remember that the round 3 repeat just means we work a V-stitch in every chain 2 space. So we're going to leave our marked stitch alone, and we're going to do V-stitches in the chain 2 space before the marked stitch. And in the chain 2 space after the marked stitch. Again, for the round 3 repeat, we're simply going to be working V-stitches in each chain 2 space. So I will meet you back here when I've completed this round. And with that, I am ready to wind up my yarn and cast on my V-stitch raglan. In order to do so, I have 2 skeins of beautiful, beautiful hand-dyed yarn. This is from Anna of Stitchcraft and Wizardry, and the colorway is Who's a Good Spirit Guide? What movie is that from?